My name is Marilyn Torpey. Today is August 4th, 2010. This interview is sponsored by the Soldier to Scholars program of Westchester University. Our interview today is with Lawrence Davidson. And welcome.
Thank you.
Let's begin our discussion with your pre-military experience. Please tell me your full name.
Full name is Lawrence Robert Davidson.
And when were you born?
November the 12th, 1980.
And where did you grow up?
I was born Syracuse, New York, is what you'd say in common conversation, but just south of there in a small town, Lafayette, New York.
And tell me about your upbringing.
I was the 8th of 9 children, a large Catholic family. My father was a phys ed teacher for the physically and mentally handicapped in North Syracuse, and my mother raised 9 children. So we had a house full. A lot of sports, a lot of activities, not a lot of extra money, but we had a lot of extra fun.
And when did you decide to join the military?
I had gone to college and kind of milled around and had thought about the military previous to going to college and was steered, not away from it, but certainly was told, you can go to school, so I did, but it never really left the idea behind. I had read books, not a particular book that swayed me, but had read books, military history, etc. And then September 11th was really a tipping point, I guess. Shortly thereafter, just kind of everything I was doing in school didn't really seem like I was in a hurry to have a piece of paper, and there wasn't much else. And so I finished out the semester there, and then left school that December. And by August of that year, I was in the military.
So that was December of 2001?
That's correct. December of 2001 was my last year at the university that I was attending, and then August of 2002 is when I officially was in the military.
I see. And what factors influenced your decision as to your personal decision to join the military?
I certainly wanted to be involved in something larger than myself. I think I was also, from the reading that I had done, being encouraged to read as a kid, I had a sense of, not to be dramatic, but history, and so people do play a part in it, rather than reading it. So I think that those tenets were there before September 11th, and then certainly after. I did feel responsibility to join the fight or to participate in the war on terror, do my part. I kind of had a ringing sense of no one will ever be able to say, what did you do, or when you're old, I didn't dodge the draft, that kind of thing. I think that answers.
Yes, it does. So when you joined, did you join the regular Army?
I did.
Or the Guard?
Yeah, regular Army.
And how did you decide on your occupation in the military? What was your occupation, and what factors helped you decide to go towards that?
Yeah, I was a heavy equipment operator in the military. It was a 62 Echo at the time. Now it's a 21 Echo. Echo being the engineer. I wanted something that I could do outside of the military, and operating heavy equipment was certainly that. I like big trucks and whatnot, so I enjoyed that.
So you were looking forward to training in the military that you could use in civilian life afterwards.
That's right.
Is that your goal?
That's right. And I'd had construction experience, and on the job site, I thought to myself, the guy in the backhoe is getting paid a lot to sit in the backhoe while I'm digging, so that sort of influenced it.
And how did your family and friends respond to your decision to join the military, particularly at that time?
At that time, in regards to geopolitics,
Yes.
I think that if they had reservations about we're at war, no one ever said we're at war and that's where you're going to. I mean, when I say everyone, my family, certainly had conversations with my friends about it. But at the time, personally, outside of geopolitics, I was at a point in my life where college wasn't going well. and I was struggling with, alcohol and drugs, where it's, if he's going to join the military, regardless of what's going on out there, it's better than what he's doing now. It's like, overwhelmingly, it was supportive.
And was there a general fear in their background that they felt for you going into knowing the geopolitical climate at the time?
Yes.
And how did
My
they
mother
deal with that?
certainly was nervous about it. I suppose everybody was. My mother's, I have 4 sisters and 4 brothers, so I think, and not that it was drawn down gender lines in my family, but it did seem that way, that my sisters and my mother were a little more nervous, or at least visibly more nervous.
Did they discuss that with you at all? Or did they try not to hamper any of the decision?
I don't think they tried to hamper my decision, but unlike now, I was at a spot with them where it wasn't a conversational relationship at that point, where they would advise me, we don't want you to go into the military because A, B, and C. I was certainly trying to see how far I could stretch myself from them and from my family, and I suppose like every teenager to 20 trying to make a name for himself. I mean, especially when you're the youngest of 8, you'd certainly like to be different than the other 8.
And I'm sure they were very proud of you and the decision at that time as well.
They were.
And once you were recruited into the military, could you describe your experience through the recruitment process for us?
Yeah, my experience with the recruiter, I was probably his easiest job, because I called the recruiting office in Syracuse. Once I contacted him, I said, this is who I am, et cetera, I want to join. He said, you come in and you take an ASVAB test, there's like an aptitude test, and the results of that test determine, if you have a 60, you can be a dishwasher. If you have a 130, you can fly a jet, and ranging in between. I scored well enough that I could choose most jobs that I wanted. I chose a job that was A, the Army needed, and B, I qualified for. So my experience with him was he simply did what I asked, and because I was eligible and I guess capable, it was an easy gig for him.
Oh, very good. Let's move on to your military training. When did you leave for basic training?
26 August 2002.
And where did you do your training?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
And how did your training compare with your expectations? What were your expectations going in?
Short answer would be I thought that it was going to be hard. I didn't know that it was going to be that hard. It was difficult. I was a heavier kid, and so I was athletic but heavier, and so it was hard in that respect, physically difficult. But more mentally difficult for me. I mean, there's a lot of, first of all, I was a little bit older than guys that I was in there with, guys and girls as well. I don't know what the average age is, but I was 20, at the time 22, and then they were 21, 22, so you're there with 18, so there's a little bit of age difference. So it's kind of hard fitting into that situation. There's a lot that goes into it, but it was definitely more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
And did others that were training with you, did they have the same feelings, the same emotions? Did they find it to be terribly difficult, terribly easy in comparison to you?
I don't know. Speaking generalities, I don't know. I think I might have found it a little bit easier than some because I had participated in team athletics, whether it be football or wrestling. So I had participated in physical things that were hard in which you had to take direction from people, whether it be a coach or a captain. And I knew whether I was good at it or not. I knew how to participate in a team or squad or platoon or whatever. And so I had that. I also had parents where you